The town of Millhaven was the kind of place where secrets didn't stay hidden for long, except one. For 15 years, Eli Turner had carried his secret like a scar under his skin, unseen, but always burning. He lived quietly now, repairing boats by the old harbor, his hands rough and steady, his eyes older than his 36 years. The townspeople said he had been different once, loud, bright, full of music and promise. Before the fire, before her name was Claire Hollis, and once she had been his whole world. They'd grown up together, two dreamers in a sleepy coastal town, building castles out of driftwood and plans for a life that felt bigger than the map. Eli would play his guitar by the docks while Claire painted the sunset. He loved how she saw beauty in everything, even in things most people ignored. When they were 19, they planned to leave Mill. She had been accepted to an art school in Portland. He'd saved 4 months to buy a beat-up car that barely ran. They had a plan. Until the night of the fire, it happened at the Harborlight Cafe, the place where everyone in Millhaven gathered after church on Sundays. A faulty stove, they said. A spark that became a storm. Eli had been inside, playing for tips. He remembered smoke, screams, and heat that felt alive. He remembered carrying people out, 3, maybe 4. Before the roof gave in. He didn't remember how he got out himself, but he remembered one thing clearly. Claire never made it out. She'd gone back inside, someone said, to grab the sketchbook she'd left on the table, the one she'd been working on for months. By the time firefighters pulled her out, it was too late. For years, Eli blamed himself. He stopped playing music. He stopped speaking much at all. He left town for a while, drifting from job to job, trying to drown the guilt in motion. But grief, he discovered, was not something you could outrun. It was something you had to learn to carry, and some days it carried you instead. When his mother got sick, he came back to Mill. By then, people had stopped talking about the fire, but they still lowered their voices when they saw him. To them, Eli Turner was a ghost that hadn't realized he was dead yet. He'd built a small life by the sea, quiet, honest, almost invisible, until the day the letter arrived. It was a Tuesday morning, gray and cold. The mailman, Hank, handed him a thin, yellowed envelope with shaky handwriting that made Eli's heart stutter. It said, "To Eli Turner, if found, please deliver." And in the corner, faint but clear, Claire Hollis, June 2008. Eli sat on his porch, staring at it for a long time. The date was from before the fire. His hands shook as he broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded neatly, and a pressed wildflower, a blue cornflower, faded but intact. The letter read, "Eli, if you're reading this, it means I finally had the courage to tell you what I've been afraid to say out loud. I'm leaving for Portland next week, but I don't want to go without you. You once said, this town feels too small for dreams like ours. But the truth is, you're the only thing that makes it feel big. I love you. I think I've loved you since the first day you let me paint your name on that broken boat behind the cafe. You said it was bad luck to name something that couldn't sail, but maybe love is like that too. Maybe it's brave, even when it knows it might sink. Come with me. Please. Claire **. Eli read it, again and again, his breath shallow. He had never received that letter. It must have gotten lost in the mail after the fire. He could feel the past rising in his chest like smoke. All the things unsaid. All the life unlived. For hours, he sat staring at the cornflower pressed between paper fibers, fragile as memory. When the sun went down, he did something he hadn't done in 15 years. He picked up his old guitar. The strings were rusted. The wood was cracked. But when his fingers brushed across them, the sound that came out was raw and aching like grief turning into music. He began to play the song he had written for her the night before the fire. Millhaven Light halfway through, his voice broke, but he kept going. The next morning, he took the letter to the Harborlight ruins. Most of the cafe had been rebuilt over the years, but the old brick foundation still stood behind the new diner. He knelt there, laid the letter on the stone, and whispered, "I should have gone with you." He didn't expect an answer, But the wind picked up suddenly, carrying the scent of salt and wildflowers, and for a moment he could almost hear her laugh, the one that used to fill every silence. That night, Ely went to the local open mic at the community hall. He hadn't performed in public since the fire. When the host called his name, people turned, surprised. Some whispered. He walked up slowly, guitar in hand. The room was small, old fishermen, teenagers, families, but it felt like standing in front of the world. He said only one thing before he began to play. "This song is for someone I lost, and for everyone who's ever carried a love that never got to finish." The room went silent. He played Millhaven Light, and when he finished, no one clapped at first. They just sat there, breathing the same quiet air, tears glinting in the dim lights. Then, one by one, they stood, a standing ovation. Not for the song, but for the courage it took to play it. Afterward, an old man approached him. "My wife was in that fire," he said softly. "You pulled her out. She's alive because of you. She's been wanting to thank you for 15 years. Ely couldn't speak. The man pressed something into his hand. A small silver locket. "She found this the night of the fire. Said it was near Claire's table. Thought you might want it." Inside the locket was a photo of Claire, smiling, sunlight in her hair, and a tiny folded piece of paper with the words, "Play your song. Always." For the first time since the fire, Ely felt something shift inside him. The guilt that had once chained him began to loosen, replaced by something softer grace. The next morning, as the tide rolled in, Ely stood by the dock with his guitar. He played again, not for the crowd this time, but for her. For the girl who had loved him enough to leave a letter he was never meant to see. He played until the sky turned pink, and the first boats set out to sea. And when the music faded, he whispered, "Thank you, Claire, for waiting long enough for me to forgive myself." That was the moment he knew. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It lets you live with it, without letting it own you.